If you've ever played Wii Sports growing up, you've probably attempted some of the toughest challenges the game has to offer. Bowling a perfect game, getting a hole-in-one, or defeating the boxing champion Matt. However, one particular challenge stands above the rest: the Platinum Medals. Wii Sports features a training mode, featuring 15 minigames split equally across the game's 5 sports. Each minigame rewards the player for reaching a certain score threshold, netting you a medal ranging from bronze, silver, gold, and finally, platinum. Earning all the platinum medals takes the average player weeks, months, or even years. So when it comes to speedrunning all platinum medals, it requires absolute mastery of the game. Very few people can confidently collect every plat in one sitting, but those who have succeeded have whittled down the run from a few hours long to just shy of 30 minutes. But how? How can anyone tackle the behemoth that is an all-plat speedrun? Well, it all began with a certain speedrunner from England, Murasaki. Mura started running the Wii series of games in late 2019, and he quickly established himself as a pioneer, setting records in several categories. On April 25th, 2020, Mura completed the first ever all-platinum speedrun in Wii Sports. It was a run full of ups and downs, several restarts, and rage.
This should be it. This should be it.
You beat the high score.
1 meter!
While most plats took a few tries, some went very smoothly. He didn't struggle with easy plats such as hitting the bag, spin control, or picking up spares. He also got target practice in golf's second try, one of the hardest plats in the game. However, Mura wasn't so lucky with many of the other tricky plats. The worst offender by far was hitting home runs, a particularly brutal plat that took him a full hour. Even with terrible roadblocks like that, Mura still managed to finish the first ever run of the category in 3 hours, 17 minutes, 59 seconds. It was a very rough first run that had Mura thinking that this was just a one and done, that all plats was too volatile of a category to ever take that seriously. Despite this, he kept on playing. In the span of a week, he lowered his time down to a 3:00:52, and then a big jump to 2:10:05. He then proceeded to take a break from the category for a few months, since at this point, he had no competition. He returned later that summer to lower the time down even more. This time, with more practice and experience with the game, he soon achieved a 1:28:37, and then 6 days later, on September 5th, the unthinkable happened. 51:56. A sub-hour time by a mile. Not only that, but the quality of play was pretty high considering the difficulty of the run. In his 51-minute run, Murasaki earned 9 out of the 15 platinum medals first try. That's a whopping 60% of the plats. His worst minigame in the run was putting, which took 4 tries to get the plat, which is very good considering his humble beginnings. Speaking of the games, we have yet to talk about them in much detail, so let's do a breakdown of each one in isolation, as well as the strats Mura used and why he chose to tackle them in a specific order. But before we go any further, this video is sponsored by Shippin'. Shippin' is an international package forwarding service that allows you to easily and affordably import goods that are not readily available in your country. For example, I want this precious angel, a Maltese pup named Starry, but she's on the other side of the pond. So if I wanted to have my darling Starry shipped to me, a host in the country will use Shippin' to purchase her locally and then export her right to my doorstep in the good old Midwest. And would you look at that, 2 for the price of 1. My heart melted 3 times that day. Shippin' offers this service for a variety of products from over 35 countries, and with a few clicks away, it'll arrive within 1 to 5 business days. Just don't try shipping any contraband. Asbestos ain't good for the pups. Right now, you can get a special 15% off discount on their website. Just visit www.shippin.com and use my promo code LunaticJ15. Simply click the link below, use my code, and get the best deals on products that you cannot get at home. Thanks again to Shippin for sponsoring today's video. Murasaki decided to tackle each platinum one sport at a time, starting with baseball. This is because of hitting home runs, which you may recall is the plat that Mura was stuck on for over an hour during his first run. Hitting home runs, as I mentioned before, is a very brutal and random plat. Not only do you have to get all 10 home runs, but you also need a minimum combined distance of 1,725 meters, or 5,650 feet for the Yanks. To do this, you need to hit quite a few out of the park home runs, which is entirely out of your control at times. Although the pitches get progressively faster, you might not get the best luck hitting it out of the park. If the pitcher throws to the opposite batter box, this really makes it much harder. Also, you may get unlucky with the 15 out of 60 chance to get a sidearm pitcher. Sidearm pitches not only have a slower animation, but the ball itself travels much slower. The sidearm pitchers can affect all 3 of the baseball plats, so in case Mura got one of them, he'd immediately restart. After that is swing control. Although sidearm pitches can make this harder, the plat is pretty manageable if you get 40 points out of the 65 needed for the plat by the 5th pitch. This plat doesn't demand perfection at least. Batting practice, however, requires you to successfully hit all 30 pitches, but compared to home runs, it's a piece of cake. Afterwards is easily the most difficult set of plats, the golf ones. Target practice in golf is by far the most difficult plat in the game, requiring you to score 800 points in 10 rounds. While there is no wind at first, the wind becomes more random and vicious as the minigame progresses. You want to hit as many 100-point bullseyes as you can, but it gets very hard later on. You need to have a very good control over your power meter, which, as you can imagine, can be very finicky for a motion-controlled game from 2006. Some wind patterns make it straight up impossible to score 100, meaning that if you don't score enough 100 in early rounds, you can kiss that platinum medal goodbye. Putting is also considered one of the most difficult plats, on the same level as target practice. You need to putt the ball into the hole for 10 rounds in a row without missing once. As if this wasn't nerve-wracking enough, each round has 3 to 4 layout variations for where the hole is located, requiring you to memorize and adapt to dozens of patterns. Getting these 2 plats first try is very difficult and very uncommon. Hitting the green also has randomly shuffled layouts for each round, but the plat requirement is way less strict, requiring you to hit the ball within a combined 20-meter distance across 10 rounds. Moving on to tennis, we have the worst plat in the run, returning balls. You need to return at least 80 balls back to Elisa. Miss one, and the game ends. Her serves are very random. She can play nice and mostly do regular serves, but often she plays mean with some nasty mix-ups. Power serves when your character's near the net are very easy to miss, and having to return a topspin serve right after being pushed back from returning a spin serve is just unfair. You really have to be prepared for whatever comes right at you. Thankfully, the other 2 tennis plats aren't total BS. Timing your swing is the very definition of consistent. Fixed serving patterns, the same me positioning and goal movement every time, and you only need to do forearm returns. The tennis version of target practice is also pretty easy, as long as you keep the power swings to a minimum. Soft hits are the key here, as to prevent wide-angle shots that can cause you to miss the ball, as well as maintain the wall's durability. The bowling plats are among the most forgiving ones. In both spin control and picking up spares, you essentially have 5 lives to clear all 20 stages for Platinum. Power throws is more of a challenge, requiring you to score 700 points out of a maximum of 890. Problem is, you score double points for each strike, and each round increases the number of pins, making strikes more difficult. Mura's strat for getting strikes were spin throws, which is a somewhat consistent method, but sometimes spin throws can have a hard time registering properly. By the final round, you need at least 518 points. Any less and you can't get the plat. Here, you throw the ball onto the barrier to hit a secret switch at the end, and then boom, strike. Pretty cool. Finally, there are the boxing plats. Working the bag is by far the easiest plat in the game. A complete pushover. Throwing punches is a bit trickier, with the main issue being the not so great precision of Wii Sports' boxing controls, but it isn't horrible. Dodging, on the other hand, can be completely unfair. You need to score 85 points here, which a lot of the time isn't a problem. However, the number of balls Matt throws is random. He can throw over 100 balls on one attempt, but he can also throw as little as 85 balls. The exact amount needed to get the plat. Failing to dodge a ball loses you points, so you can easily fail this plat if RNGesus is not on your side. As a preventative measure, Mura implemented pause buffering into dodging, sacrificing a bit of speed in favor of consistency when Matt starts throwing the balls faster. And that is what it takes to be an all-platinum medals runner. An excellent grasp of sensitive motion controls, memorization, adaptation, and luck being on your side. Even when Murasaki earned every plat in under an hour, he still had a total of 9 restarts. A video of Mura's best segments spliced together around this time came out to 3540, showing what a theoretical run would look like if he got every plat first try. The category also had a lot of potential time save from less restarts, but for the time being, Murasaki was satisfied with this run, and he moved on to more competitive categories. Many years passed as Murasaki stood alone as the sole runner of all platinum medals. In the 3 years following his sub-hour run, Wii Sports Speedrunning had grown substantially. The community was more active, and there were a lot more resources available for learning. Even with all these new strats, discoveries, and developments, only one other runner submitted an all plats time, but didn't bother to beat Mura's record. But then, 2024 rolled around, and suddenly, there was competition. On February 2nd, 2024, Murasaki's all plats world record would finally be beaten by B747 Ultimate. In the months leading up to this moment, B7 had been on a journey for a training games medal leaderboard sweep. Platinums was the last category to complete her sweep, and she had a few new strats up her sleeve. In the time since Mura's former record, the Wii Sports plus Wii Sports Resort 2-in-1 combo disc, also known as version 1.2, was found to have a major advantage: faster load times. In all plats, these faster load times saved about 25 seconds in total. However, 1.2 had a downside in golf, as the game would sometimes lag in certain parts. In power throws, B7 preferred straight throws and ricochets off the barriers instead of Mura's spin strats, which proved to be much more consistent. Her run also had a lean towards preference-based ordering of the plats. Instead of waiting to finish all the baseball plats before moving on to another sport, she decided to take on all the golf plats immediately after hitting home runs, to get golf target practice and putting out of the way as early as possible. Even with more tutorials and guides available, those two were still astonishingly precise. All plats, while still an intimidating category, was beginning to get more consistent. B7 enjoyed her time at the top of the leaderboard for a couple months, but in April, the king of all plats returned to reclaim his throne, and he did so in a dominant fashion. A sub 40, with very few retries. Mura was beginning to push the category closer to its limits. However, he had destroyed the previous record yet again. For the time being, he was satisfied. That is, until the greatest threat to Murasaki's reign emerged: Rymac G4. Rymac was a newer runner who joined the community in 2023, and within his first year of playing, he had made big waves. Most notably, becoming the first, and so far only runner to complete the all-sport speedrun in under 7 minutes. Now, Wii Sports' latest prodigy was giving the veteran Murasaki a run for his money. On July 1st, Rymac set a new all-plats record 36-13, igniting a fierce rivalry where both runners would pull out all the stops. In batting practice, the days of restarting to avoid a sidearm pitcher was over. Each restart cost 8 seconds, while getting a plat with sidearm pitching only lost 2. Sidearm pitches for swing control are still considered too difficult for the plat though, so getting a sidearm pitcher there is an automatic retry. Regardless, these optimizations made it clear that high risk for high reward was the name of the game now. Do you want to put every difficult plat at the start of the run, or would you rather space them out to get more runs going? Are you going to do some practice strokes, or are you going to let it rip? Are you going to gently return the ball to slowly bounce along the wall, or are you going to add a little bit of spin? Who will sink, and who will swim? Murasaki may be on top once more, but this past month has shown that he and Rymac have both mastered Wii Sports' Platinum Medals. Now, their rivalry is about to enter a new chapter, a quest for perfection. In the current world record of 32:04, Murasaki got almost every platinum medal on the first try. Every single plat except for one. He and Rymac are on the cusp of one of Wii Sports' greatest milestone, the 15 ace, earning all 15 platinum medals back-to-back with 0 failed attempts. Both of these runners have come close. Both of them are grinding for this goal at this very moment. The question is, who will reach perfection first? Special thanks to Murasaki for the big help with researching this video. In recent times, he's obtained the full bronze, silver, gold, and platinum sweep, so I implore you to tune in to his and Rymac's streams so you can witness firsthand their quest for platinum medal perfection. Links are down below. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to shoot for the moon.